The sky above Earth was a tumult of swirling smoke and flames. Cities that had stood for centuries were now molten ruins. The Galactic Empire's assault had been swift, ruthless, and calculated. A fleet of planetary bombers hovered in low orbit, casting their ominous shadows over a dying world. The Empire's demands had been simple: unconditional surrender or annihilation. Humanity had chosen neither. But before the chaos, before the firestorms and devastation, there had been a discovery that changed the trajectory of the human race. It began in the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, where a team of researchers from the International Space Exploration Institute was conducting deep ice core drilling. Dr. Elena Marquez, a geophysicist with a passion for uncovering Earth's ancient secrets, was overseeing the operation. The team had been searching for evidence of prehistoric meteor impacts, but what they found buried beneath 2 miles of ice was far more extraordinary. "Dr. Marquez, you're going to want to see this," called Samir Patel, the project's lead technician. His voice crackled over the comms, tinged with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Marquez hurried to the site, her boots crunching against the frozen ground. Samir stood near the drill, holding up a shard of crystalline material that shimmered unnaturally under the pale sunlight. "What is it?" she asked, taking the shard in her gloved hands. "We don't know," Samir replied. "But it's not from Earth. The spectrometer's readings are, well, they don't match anything in our databases." Marquez's brow furrowed as she examined the shard. It was impossibly smooth, its edges sharp as glass. She could feel a faint vibration emanating from it, as if it were alive. "Run a full analysis," she ordered, "and keep this quiet for now. We don't want to jump to conclusions." As the team delved deeper into the ice, they uncovered more fragments of the mysterious material. Soon, they found what appeared to be an entire structure, a massive buried object that radiated a faint, otherworldly glow. The more they unearthed, the clearer it became that this was no natural formation. Months later, the artifact was transported to a secure facility outside Geneva. A coalition of Earth's brightest minds was assembled to study it, including physicists, engineers, linguists, and military strategists. Among them was Dr. Soren Yill, a theoretical physicist whose groundbreaking work on quantum energy systems had made him a legend in his field. "This isn't just a relic," Yill declared during one of their early meetings. "It's a machine, a highly advanced one, and it's still operational." Operational. Admiral Marcus Vren, a grizzled veteran of Earth's Space Force, raised an eyebrow. "What does it do?" Yill hesitated, glancing at the holographic display of the artifact. Its intricate, interlocking components defied comprehension, but one thing was clear: it harnessed energy on a scale that dwarfed anything humanity had ever achieved. "We believe it's a power source," Yill explained. "But not just any power source. It seems to tap into subspace, hyperspace. Frankly, we don't have the language to describe it yet. If we can understand it, replicate it, it could revolutionize everything. Or it could be a weapon," Vren said darkly. "We need to consider the possibility that this thing was buried for a reason." As the months turned into years, humanity's understanding of the artifact grew. The discovery spurred a technological renaissance, with advancements in energy, propulsion, and materials science propelling Earth into a new era. Space travel, once limited to the solar system, became faster and more reliable. Colonies on Mars and Europa expanded rapidly, and humanity began venturing into the vast unknown beyond. But with progress came attention. The artifact's unique energy signature was not confined to Earth. It rippled through the fabric of space, a beacon that reached the far corners of the galaxy. And the Galactic Empire, ever vigilant for threats to its dominion, took notice. The Empire's first contact with humanity was not a diplomatic envoy but a fleet of warships. They arrived in the solar system without warning, their towering vessels eclipsing the stars. The message they transmitted was as cold and unyielding as the void itself. You have activated forbidden technology. Surrender it to the Empire, or face annihilation. President Elara Kane, elected in the wake of humanity's expansion into the galaxy, addressed the Empire's ultimatum from the steps of the United Earth Federation's capital. Her words, broadcast to every corner of the solar system, were resolute. Humanity will not be cowed by threats, she declared. We will not surrender our discoveries, our progress, our future. If the Galactic Empire wishes to extinguish us, they will find that we are not so easily snuffed out. The Empire responded with fire. Their ships descended upon Earth, Mars, and the orbital colonies, raining destruction from above. Billions perished in the first wave of attacks. Humanity's fledgling interstellar fleet, though advanced, was no match for the Empire's centuries-old war machine. In the ruins of Geneva, where the artifact had first been studied, a small group of scientists and engineers worked frantically. They had salvaged what they could from the destruction, including fragments of the artifact and the data they had collected over the years. Dr. Yeel, now gaunt and sleep-deprived, led the effort. The artifact was never just a power source, he explained to the team. It's a key, a gateway, and if we can unlock it, we might have a chance to turn the tide. A gateway to what? Marquez asked, her voice filled with both hope and dread. Yeel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he activated a hologram that displayed the artifact's internal structure. A series of pulsating nodes formed an intricate web, converging on a central core that emitted a steady pulse of light. We don't know, he admitted, but whatever it is, it's powerful enough to make the Empire afraid, and that means it's our best shot. The project, codenamed Nemesis, became humanity's last hope. Using the artifact's technology, they developed a fleet of autonomous warships, vessels capable of operating without human pilots, armed with weapons derived from the artifact's energy. These ships were hidden across the solar system, their locations encrypted and known only to a select few. As the Empire tightened its grip on Earth, President Kane and Admiral Vryn prepared for the final stand. The Nemesis fleet was humanity's ace in the hole, but its activation would come at a terrible cost. If unleashed, the fleet's AI systems would target not just the Empire's military assets, but their core worlds as well. It was a scorched earth strategy, designed to ensure that if humanity fell, the Empire would burn with them. This is what they've forced us to become, Kane said bitterly as she reviewed the fleet's readiness. If we can't live in this galaxy, neither will they. Yeel, standing nearby, looked uneasy. The artifact's creators, they might not have intended for it to be used like this. We're tampering with forces we barely understand. And yet here we are, Kane replied, because we don't have a choice. As the countdown to Nemesis activation began, humanity's battered survivors turned their eyes to the heavens. For centuries, they had looked to the stars with wonder and curiosity. Now, they gazed at them with defiance. The discovery in Antarctica had been both a blessing and a curse. The journey to the Ziri system was long and uneventful, stretching over several days. The vast emptiness of space surrounded the Vanguard as it made its way through the galaxy's outer rim. Tessa O'Neill sat in the command center, gazing at the holodisplay as the ship cut through the darkness. The soft hum of the engines was the only sound, though her mind was far from quiet. Zeres, a system that had been ignored for centuries, considered a backwater sector unworthy of interest. The Imperial Archives listed it as uninhabited, with no planets of note, no stations, no resources of value. It was a place where civilizations had passed through and quickly moved on, as if the system itself had a way of discouraging attention. Now, however, it was the center of everything. The mysterious signal, pulsing weakly through the expanse of space, had led them here. Its origin was clear: an anomaly, a remnant of a long-forgotten age. The data they had retrieved from it suggested that the transmission wasn't just old, it was ancient. It felt like a message, a call, but from whom? And why was it directed toward humanity? "General," Rook's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back into the present. "We're entering the Xeris system. I've locked on to the coordinates of the signal's origin." Tessa nodded, standing from her chair as she glanced toward the viewport. The cold expanse of space shifted slightly as they passed into a new sector, and she could just make out the dull glow of a dead star at the center of the system. "Set course for the signal's origin," Tessa ordered. "I want to know everything we can about what's out there before we make contact." Rook's eyes were sharp as he worked, inputting commands and coordinating with the navigational systems. "Aye, General. Setting course now. Sensors are active, but we're not picking up any signs of life. Just that signal. We should be there in a few hours." Tessa took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves. This wasn't just another mission. It was a gamble. The Confederacy's future could very well hinge on whatever they found on that desolate planet. The Empire would undoubtedly move to eliminate them soon enough. Every minute spent here could be one closer to their doom. Or their salvation. Elias grasped her hand in his and gave it a light squeeze. She looked back at Leonetti. The few hours passed quickly. On the bridge, the tension was palpable as the ship slowed its approach to the system's fourth planet, a barren rock covered in dust and craters. The planet had once been home to a thriving civilization, or so it appeared in ancient records. Now it was dead, its surface scarred by time, its atmosphere long gone. Yet there was something else, something they hadn't expected. A colossal structure, half hidden in the craters and valleys of the planet's surface, rose into the sky. It wasn't just a building or a monument. It was an entire city, or what remained of one. A ruin of immense scale, stretching hundreds of kilometers in every direction. And at its heart, a towering monolith stood, its surface etched with symbols that defied understanding. Tessa stood on the observation deck, staring at the site as the vanguard descended. Her stomach twisted as she thought about the magnitude of their discovery. This was no mere artifact. It was an entire civilization's legacy, hidden away for millennia. "General," Rook's voice cut through the awe that filled the room. "We've detected strange energy readings emanating from the structure. It's not just a ruin. There's power here. We're reading advanced energy signatures that suggest some sort of dormant technology is still active." Tessa's heart skipped a beat. "Active? Huh. How?" Rook's face was tense. "We're not sure. The energy readings are erratic, unpredictable. It's as if the power source is slowly waking up." Tessa gritted her teeth. "What's our current position?" "We're entering the planet's atmosphere now," Rook said, his fingers flying over the console. "The city ruins are right beneath us. We should have eyes on it in minutes." The ship rocked slightly as it broke through the atmosphere, and the dim surface of the planet came into view. The ancient city sprawled beneath them, a ghostly ruin that stretched across the horizon. Towering structures loomed like forgotten giants, and the once great city lay buried in the dust, only its skeletal remains visible from above. Tessa watched the monitor closely. "Take us down to the surface, Lieutenant. I want to get a closer look at the monolith." Rook glanced at her, concern flashing in his eyes. "Are you sure, General? We're not even sure what kind of technology we're dealing with. This could be more than we bargained for." Tessa met his gaze, her expression cold but resolute. "The Empire is already on its way. This is our only chance to understand what's here before it's too late. We move out now, or we lose the advantage. There is no other option. Correctanto ara spansera chisara. Rook nodded grimly and issued the command to descend. The shuttle, an agile craft designed for planetary landings, sliced through the sky. The surface of the planet loomed closer, and soon the shuttle touched down on the cracked Earth. Dust billowed into the air, and the team aboard the shuttle disembarked. Tessa's boots crunched against the barren ground as she led the way, her eyes scanning the surroundings with suspicion. There was something unnatural about this place, something oppressive that weighed on her chest. The monolith was just ahead, towering above the ruins like a silent sentinel. As they approached, Tessa noticed the strange energy that seemed to ripple in the air, an unseen force that thrummed at the edges of her senses. The symbols etched into the monolith's surface pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. "General, I'm not reading any biological signatures," one of the soldiers remarked. "But these readings, they're unlike anything we've encountered before. It's like the atmosphere itself is alive." Tessa turned to him, her voice sharp. "Stay focused. This could be more than just a relic. I don't need anyone getting distracted." She stepped closer to the monolith, reaching out a hand to touch its surface. The moment her fingers made contact, the air around them seemed to hum. The ground beneath her feet vibrated faintly, and the symbols on the monolith began to glow, casting an eerie light over the ruins. The energy pulses grew more pronounced, and a deep, resonant sound filled the air, echoing through the desolate city. Suddenly, the monolith shifted. A section of it slid back with a groan, revealing an opening, a doorway into the structure itself. It was as if the monolith had been waiting for something, and now it was responding to their presence. The public service announcement in pink letters. "Commander," one of the soldiers called out, his voice tense with urgency. "We're not alone. Something's happening." Before Tessa could respond, a flash of light erupted from the opening. The ground trembled violently, and a wave of energy surged outward, knocking the soldiers off their feet. Tessa held firm, her body tense, but she refused to be thrown. The wave of energy reverberated across the ruins, sending shockwaves through the structures surrounding them. Then, as quickly as it had come, the energy ceased. The air was thick with silence, but the monolith's entrance was still open, an inviting darkness stretching before them. Tessa's breath quickened as she stared into the abyss. What was this place? What had activated this ancient device? Private Mayer responded before Tessa could. "Move out," she ordered, her voice steady, though her heart raced. "We need answers, now." Inside the monolith, the air was cool and heavy with the scent of old metal and dust. The walls were adorned with strange symbols, and the floor was lined with intricate carvings that seemed to shift and move as they walked past. The soldiers moved cautiously, their weapons drawn, but Tessa remained calm. There was something about this place that made her feel both fearful and awestruck, as if the very structure itself was watching them. The passageway led them deep into the heart of the monolith, down a winding path that seemed to stretch on forever. As they reached the center, the walls parted, revealing a massive chamber. The room was bathed in a soft, ethereal glow emanating from the walls themselves, as if the entire structure was alive. At the center of the room stood a massive pedestal, and upon it a device. No, a relic, was encased in a shimmering energy field. It was clearly of immense importance, ancient and powerful. Tessa's eyes widened as she stepped closer. "This is it," she whispered, her voice trembling with anticipation. "This is the key." Rook stepped forward, his expression grave. "General, we don't know what we're dealing with here. It could be dangerous." "Old bitch? Bromit." Tessa ignored him, her focus entirely on the relic. She reached out, her fingers brushing the energy field. The moment she touched it, the relic hummed to life, and the entire chamber seemed to resonate with power. Then the voice came again, this time not in her mind, but through the air itself. "Humanity's time is not yet over." The words echoed in the chamber, reverberating in Tessa's chest. She stood frozen, her heart pounding in her ears. The relic had spoken. It was a message. No, a warning. Tessa closed her eyes, feeling the weight of it settle upon her. This was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity's place within it was about to be redefined. But at what cost? The barren plains of Antarctica stretched endlessly in all directions, a frozen expanse of white broken only by jagged peaks of ice and the occasional flutter of snow. The research team's outpost was a stark gray structure, its walls reinforced to withstand the relentless winds that battered it daily. Inside, however, the air buzzed with the heat of discovery and the hum of machinery as humanity took its first steps toward unearthing a truth that would alter its destiny forever. Dr. Elena Marquez sat at her workstation, poring over data streams projected onto a holographic display. The artifact fragments retrieved from the ice core had been analyzed, reanalyzed, and subjected to every test imaginable. Still, the results defied comprehension. The crystalline structure, impossibly intricate and apparently unaged perspective. The compounds unknown to Earth's periodic table. Each fragment emitted a subtle yet measurable energy signature that varied as though it were responding to external stimuli. "This thing is alive," Samir Patel muttered, his voice a mixture of wonder and unease. He was hunched over a microscope, studying a shard that seemed to pulse faintly in time with the base's power generators. "Not in the way we'd define life, but it reacts, adapts. It's like it's learning from us." "Alive isn't the right word," Marquez replied, her eyes never leaving the display. "It's interactive. A machine, perhaps, but one with a level of complexity we've never encountered." The room fell silent as they considered the implications. Machines had always been tools, predictable, linear in their functions, bound by the parameters set by their creators. This was something else entirely. "What concerns me," Patel continued, "is why it was buried. Something like this doesn't just end up 2 miles under the ice by accident." The excavation continued over the following weeks, revealing more of the structure beneath the ice. What had initially appeared to be scattered fragments coalesced into a single massive object. A monolith, sleek and featureless, its surface smooth to the touch but impervious to any tool the team employed. At over 300 meters long and tapering to sharp points at either end, it resembled no spacecraft or construction known to human history. Dr. Soren Yill arrived at the site 3 weeks after the monolith's discovery, his reputation as a theoretical physicist preceding him. He entered the research tent with little fanfare, immediately setting to work alongside Marquez and Patel. Within hours, he had established a makeshift lab and begun analyzing the monolith's energy signatures. "It's not emitting energy," Yill explained during one of their first collaborative sessions. "It's channeling it. This structure is a conduit, drawing power from somewhere." "Somewhere?" Marquez echoed skeptically. "That's a little vague even for you." "I'm being literal," Yill replied, his tone patient but firm. "The readings suggest it's connected to a dimensional substrate, a pocket of space outside our observable universe. If I'm right, this isn't just a power source. It's a gateway." The room erupted in murmurs. The word gateway carried with it connotations of immense promise and unimaginable peril. Yill raised a hand to silence the group. "Let's not jump to conclusions," he said. "We need more data. For now, treat it as a hypothesis, nothing more." Months passed, and the monolith's secrets began to unravel. The team discovered that its surface was covered in microscopic etchings, patterns too precise to be natural, but indecipherable even with the most advanced scanning technology. When subjected to electromagnetic fields, sections of the monolith would glow faintly, the patterns shifting as though in response. "It's like a language," Patel observed, "or a code." Marquez nodded. "But who's the message for? Us, or whoever built it?" The breakthrough came unexpectedly, during a routine test of the monolith's response to high-frequency sound waves. As the vibrations resonated through its structure, the monolith emitted a low hum that grew in intensity, filling the chamber with an otherworldly sound. The patterns on its surface shifted rapidly, coalescing into a series of symbols that hovered momentarily before fading away. "Did you get that?" Yil asked urgently, his hands flying across the console as he recorded the event. "Every frame," Marquez confirmed. "But what does it mean?" As the symbols were analyzed, it became clear that they corresponded to mathematical constants and physical laws, a universal language. The monolith wasn't just a machine, it was a repository of knowledge, a gift from an advanced civilization. But as the team delved deeper into its mysteries, they uncovered something far more troubling. Hidden among the patterns was a sequence that repeated irregularly, like a heartbeat. When translated, it formed a series of coordinates, locations, scattered across the galaxy. At first, the team thought they had found a map, a guide to other artifacts or outposts. But as they cross-referenched the data, a chilling realization emerged. The coordinates corresponded to systems that had been obliterated, stars that had gone supernova, planets reduced to asteroid fields, entire regions of space rendered uninhabitable. "It's a warning," Yil said grimly. "Whatever built this, they encountered something capable of wiping out entire civilizations. And they left this behind to tell us where not to go." The discovery was brought to the attention of global leaders under the strictest secrecy. President Ilara Kane, who had already been grappling with humanity's expansion into the stars, found herself faced with a decision that would define the future of the species. "If this is a warning," Kane said during a closed-door briefing, "why did we find it here, buried on Earth? Were we meant to find it, or was it hidden to protect us from its knowledge?" "Either way," Yil replied, "the knowledge is ours now, and we've already seen how transformative it can be. If we can harness the technology behind the monolith, we could advance by centuries in just a few decades. It's a risk, but one worth taking." Not everyone agreed. Some argued that tampering with the monolith was inviting disaster, that humanity was meddling with forces it could not control. But Kane, ever pragmatic, made her decision. "We've spent too long looking inward," she said. "It's time to look outward. If there's a threat out there, we need to be ready, and this is our best chance." Dolores. The monolith's discovery spurred a technological revolution. New alloys derived from its structure led to advancements in materials science. Its energy conduction principles enabled the creation of reactors far more efficient than anything on Earth. Humanity, once confined to its solar system, began building faster ships, more advanced colonies, and defensive platforms capable of withstanding the harshest conditions. But with progress came unintended consequences. The monolith's unique energy signature, once dormant, now radiated across the cosmos. Unknown to Earth, it acted as a beacon, drawing the attention of entities far beyond human comprehension. Eldest behind. The first sign of trouble came in the form of an anomalous signal, detected by deep space observatories. It was faint, irregular, but unmistakably artificial. Analysts speculated it was a response to the monolith's activation, a ripple through the fabric of space-time. "We've rung a bell," Marquez said during a meeting with the Global Scientific Council, and someone's heard it. As humanity prepared for the unknown, the monolith revealed its final secret. Buried deep within its code was a message, translated painstakingly over months. It read,